Today on Sports Card Investor, an interview with somebody who is trying to disrupt the way that you buy and sell sports cards. My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Sports card investors, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we're going to make it even better because we have got a great interview for you today. I am bringing in Scott Greenberg. He is the founder of a website called Starstock. Starstock is a new sports card marketplace where you can buy and sell sports cards in a totally different way with very low fees and some really unique features. You're going to want to listen to what Scott is trying to do with Starstock. And Scott is also offering you, the listeners of Sports Card Investor, a very special promotion that he's not offering anywhere else right now. If you sign up for Starstock, after hearing more about it in this episode, if you go on to starstock.com and sign up and enter referral code SCI, SCI for Sports Card Investor. Enter SCI. Scott is going to give you up to $25 of bonus money in your account. As soon as you deposit money or send cards in, you're going to get bonus dollars. And if you do both, you're going to get $25. It's a great way to get some sports cards for free. Is to simply go to their website, sign up, and either put a little bit of money in or send them some cards to sell. And of course, in this interview today, Scott is going to talk more about how all of that works and how their website works and the pros of it, all these different really interesting things about what his vision of Starstock was and how they build it out. So you're going to want to listen to all of this. But again, remember referral code SCI to get that bonus upon sign up. All right, guys, this is going to be a fun interview. So without further ado, let me bring in the founder of Starstock, Scott Greenberg. Hey, Scott, welcome to Sports Card Investor.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
For sure. I'm excited to hear a lot more about Starstock. I know my audience is as well. You're doing some really interesting, somewhat revolutionary things in the hobby. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But first, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your story. I know it's kind of a combination of entrepreneurship as well as a love for cards and sports cards and sports in general.
Yeah. So, my story in business, prior to Starstock, I was a co-founder at a company called Pivot. It was a relocation app for employees that were relocating into a new city. And basically, we connected them with other people that went through that similar experience, allowing them to get information and advice on their new city. And so I was working there for about 3 years before, moving on. Really wanted to find something in sports. That's really where my passion is. And specifically with sports cards, my story in sports cards, I was basically born into the hobby. My dad was a big collector, collecting in the 60s and 70s. And so, my brother and I were really into it at a young age. We'd go to the card shows. I was even in an after-school club 2 days a week where we just, open up packs of cards and whatnot at the local card shop. I think I had a very similar timeline to a lot of people in the hobby towards, say, middle school, high school, stopped collecting. And I didn't get back into it about, I'd say, a year to 18 months ago. And so really my kind of light bulb moment was after an experience I had in fantasy football, where I drafted Patrick Mahomes on my fantasy football team the year that he won the MVP. And in my opinion, by far the best pick of the whole entire year. The rest of my picks weren't that good. I didn't win my league. And at the end of the year, I was kind of bummed that I had nothing to show for that insight, that prediction that I had. And so I think it was a few weeks after the football season, I was on the internet and I saw how Mahomes cards went from, a few dollars, up into hundreds of dollars by the end of the season. And I just couldn't believe, as I was doing more research, how the sports card market really shifted from, when I was younger, it's really mostly about collecting your favorite players, maybe trying to fill sets, things like that. And it really became like a vehicle to like kind of invest in your favorite athletes. And I found that really, really intriguing. And so that's what got me back into the hobby. And so when I went back to eBay and some of the other sites to buy cards, there's a few pain points that just like really bothered me. I think the biggest thing for me was the shipping aspect, and just not the ability to not get control of that card instantaneously when you bought it. And so along with my two co-founders, we launched Starstock basically to go after that pain point, those, the three main pain points that we found, and to try to, build a better alternative.
Yeah, and it's really interesting what you're doing, and I want to dive into that in more detail in a minute, because there are some really some differences, as you mentioned, from eBay and some of the other sites that make what you're doing very, very attractive, especially for someone who wants to invest and be able to get in and out of cards quickly and be able to have security around their transactions, that they're not going to get canceled on them because the market suddenly made a downwards movement or an upwards movement, which has been happening some recently as well. On eBay for sure, but going back to your story a little bit. So I'm first of all curious. When you were a kid, you mentioned kind of collecting, PC a little bit, as I think a lot of us did when we were kids. Did you? What was in retrospect now? What was maybe the most valuable card you had as a kid, and did you hold on to it? Did you take proper care of it and protect it?
No, not at all.
Me neither.
My PC was and still is Carmelo Anthony.
Okay.
He's my favorite player. Grew up a big Syracuse fan. Actually went to Syracuse as well. So loved Carmelo. And so in 2003, 2004, my brother and I were just on the hunt for Melo cards. And so we opened up hundreds of packs from 2003, 2004, which also happens to be LeBron's year, of course. And so when I got back into the hobby and started looking through LeBron cards, recognized every single one of them. Was like, I had that. Can't find them now. I was searching about 6 months ago, find it here, through some of my old binders. I found this card. This was from when I was younger, 2003 top.
Ooh,
LeBron.
That's a nice find.
It's a good find. Not in great condition, obviously, like the rest of my cards, but gonna hold on to it. There's some sentimental value there.
Sure.
But unfortunately, no, I wish I knew. I'm sure like many others as well.
Yeah, join the club. Join the club. If
Right.
I passed up opportunities to buy 86 Fleer boxes. I'm sure they were in card shops, that because 86 I was buying cards in local card shops, and I'm sure I was scoffing at the 86 Fleer, and who wants to buy basketball cards, right? And if I only knew, right? If I only knew. Well, interesting. So before we get into talking about Starstock, I know you teamed up with some pretty heavy hitters, and it was funny, your fantasy football story, which, by the way, I completely agree with you, and I often tell my friends, I have so many friends that are into fantasy sports, and only a small group of them have discovered sports cards, this time around. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, I'm like, guys, sports cards is a superior version of fantasy sports. You know how you set that lineup at the beginning of the season and you're guessing the guys who you think are going to be good? I'm like, trust me, you will do better financially if you take that entry fee and put it into sports cards, because even the guys who don't pan out, their cards aren't going to go down to zero. Yet the guys who do pan out, there's the potential for a lot of appreciation over the course of the year. I think it's a superior form of fantasy sports in a sense. And it's funny, your story with Mahomes. But I know that one of the guys you teamed up with to start Starstock is actually one of the big founders within the fantasy sports world.
Yeah, so one of our co-founders is Nigel Eccles, who's the co-founder and CEO at FanDuel. So him and I connected about 3 years ago. I figured out that he was within the area. And so obviously being a big sports fan, being a FanDuel user, and an entrepreneur myself, I just reached out to him, cold messaged him, and he agreed to get lunch with me. So we got lunch one day, and then we got lunch again a couple months later, and then we started getting lunch more frequently, and got to the point where, we built up a pretty good relationship, and, we were meeting for lunch or coffee probably every other week or once a month or whatnot. And so, last summer, we started meeting a lot more frequently. We started brainstorming different ideas, sports concepts. We kept on coming back to this idea of being able to invest in an athlete. I think it was a combination of, his background, obviously, in fantasy sports and also in the betting world, mine kind of collecting sports cards. Our third co-founder, Mike Kuchera, who's at FanDuel as well, and a good friend of Nigel's, prior to starting Starstock, is a crazy sports card collector. And so he was in the hobby a little bit longer than I was at that point when we started the company. And so the three of us came together, and we started buying cards on all the different markets. We started going through the things we liked, the things we didn't like, and tried to figure out a better way to create a marketplace. But we realized that the best way to essentially invest in an athlete is through sports cards, because there's a store of value that's been there for hundreds of years. People have been collecting cards. And so it was really the perfect utility to get that feeling of investing in an athlete. The only issue was where, you're able to place a bet on your phone now, or set your fantasy football lineup 30 seconds before kickoff. Sports cards were, a few years behind. And when you buy a card, you had to wait for the card to ship in the mail. And so, buying a card turned into like a 2-3 week process. And so that was really the main thing that we couldn't wrap our head around. The idea of making this more instantaneous, making it more gamified like fantasy sports is.
And honestly, I think there's a huge segment of the sports card market that is wanting that. I would say it's, it tends to be the newer people coming into the market. There's a lot of hardcore collectors that have been collecting sports cards for many years. And for them, it's the chase of finding the card, of getting the card. It's the mail days are fun, and you rip it open and you pull all of that off, and they see the cards and they hold the cards. And so I'm sure some people watching this right now, they're like, that concept doesn't appeal to me at all. But then I think you got a whole nother swath of people that are some of the newer people who have come into the hobby, some of the people who have come in attracted to shows like mine, or hearing what Gary Vee has to say, or more some of the sneaker flippers, that type of thing. And so for them, the idea of, I want to use sports cards almost a little bit like a currency, or as you said, a stock, where I can buy into a player, sell out of a player, and I can see the market change in real time. I can see things happening, in now in a matter of days. And a lot of that is also the reason why I built my Market Movers data tool, because the market is becoming more and more and more dynamic, and the price changes and fluctuations are happening more and more every single day. And so being able to, have that knowledge at your fingertips, but not just the knowledge, but you actually have now built the platform for people to buy and sell at that type of speed to actually keep up with the market change.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, one of the reasons why I love the Market Movers tool that you have as well. There was very little transparency within the industry. And it's good to see that there's companies that are popping up that are trying to make the market a little bit more transparent. It was almost like the wild, wild west, a few years ago, if you're buying and selling cards.
Yeah, for sure. So you had this concept, you paired with Nigel. And by the way, I want to mention one other thing to the audience. The story that you just described of how you cold outreach to Nigel, and then grabbed and then got lunch with him, and then build a relationship, and over the course of a few years started meeting with him more and more, and now all of a sudden you're business partners with the guy who founded FanDuel in a sports card startup. Like, how cool is that? And there's a great entrepreneurial lesson in there, and that is for everyone watching. It's about the hustle, and it's about the attempts at making those types of connections. It's about the reach out, and you got to understand that for every probably 50 people you try to reach out to, 49 are probably never going to respond, or maybe the ratio is even higher than that, depending the level of people you're trying to reach out to. But it only takes the one, and it only takes that one for you to build the relationship with. And I'll tell you, I have people reach out to me almost every single, well, actually every single day, who are looking to start businesses in the sports card world, looking to do YouTube shows, looking to have different ideas for how they can turn this into a business or monetize it. And they want to run their ideas by me, and they want to get my advice, and they want to get my feedback. And some of them want me to invest. And I can't get back to all of them because I get a lot of these communications every single day, but I do absolutely get back to a bunch of them. And I've had many calls. And in fact, you and I had some calls about what you were doing before, Starstock ever, got close to even launching. I try to do that. And the fact that you reached out to someone like Nigel and it turned into this, it's just such a good lesson, just to keep the hustle and the drive. And that's what entrepreneurship and making those connections for yourself and creating that luck for yourself. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I just wanted to be hanging out with people that were doing things that, I wanted to do myself. And so, when I graduated college, I reached out to a ton of people, some that I had, relationships prior, some people new relationships like Nigel, just trying to learn and find mentors, and, build relationships. And like you said, you never know what's going to happen.
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk more about the product. So you've already kind of set it up here.
Yep.
It's kind of a real-time marketplace for sports cards. It takes shipping out of the game. It takes that element. So tell us more about how Starstock works.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for us is that we separate ownership and possession. And so we encourage people to send their cards to us. We store them in a vault that's insured and under 24/7 security. And so by getting all the sports cards into one central place, we allow people to trade instantly because they don't need to ship the card afterwards. And so once you sell a card, your work is done. And we allow people to sell at scale. So if you wanted, if I can go back in time and buy 1,000 Patrick Mahomes rookie cards or 100 rookie cards, whatever it is, even if they're owned by a bunch of different sellers, we can group them all into one transaction. And we can do that for one fee. And so, what I found when I first got back into the hobby, I was like, all right, so if I wanted to make a big investment and buy, 100 or 200 cards of a player, if I was doing that on, some of the marketplaces that existed prior, it'd be really long, it'd be really hard, really long and expensive. It would probably take weeks to do so, maybe months, depending on how many you wanted to buy. And so kind of going back to the idea of investing in an athlete, we wanted to enable people to invest instantly, with the click of a button, and to allow people to invest at scale. And since all the cards are in one vault, we're expecting that there will be more trade velocity, and we're expecting that the cards are going to flip hands a lot more frequently. And so we're able to charge, a lesser seller fee. So the only fee that we currently have on Starstock is just 5% fee to the seller.
And I assume, the idea that for the buyers, it's much quicker to take possession because you hit the buy button and you've essentially instantly got possession within your digital collection, right? And the card's not going to get shipped to you, I assume, unless you requested it at some point. So the card's sitting there digitally, but then I assume, this, as you said, this is also going to accelerate your process of being able to sell it then, because you can put it back up and someone else can buy it digitally and take possession of that right away as well. So the whole concept, it sounds like, of Starstock is let's accelerate the marketplace of cards and let's make it possible to buy and sell cards at a much more rapid pace than would ever be possible with a service like eBay or something like even StockX, where there's the shipping back and forth that's going to create that natural delay.
Yeah, exactly. And so, obviously in sports like baseball and basketball, where teams are playing almost every day, absolutely impossible to day trade. If you looked at, the sales history for football is a little bit different. You kind of have that week period where you can hopefully, someone has a huge game, you could hopefully try to buy them. If you're lucky, the card will get to you by next week. Maybe you can flip it before the game starts. But really, really hard, and you got to get a little bit lucky. And so we wanted to enable people to, essentially day trade athletes. The way I see it, just like you're setting your lineup at 12:59 before the 1 o'clock games, you should go in and buy a couple quarterbacks at 12:59. And if someone throws 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, that might be the optimal time to flip the card. And if, another quarterback throws 2 interceptions, maybe you're going to try to buy low on that guy and hope that they have a comeback in that game, or maybe you're going to hold them long term for the rest of the season or whatnot. But all those things just weren't possible before. And so we really, kind of going back to the fantasy football thing, the more I thought about it, and I love fantasy football, I'm the type of guy that would set my lineup, put Fantasy Cast on, and just leave it in front of my face for like the next 10 hours and follow it religiously. But you're not able to make any substitutions. You're not able to really engage with the product and make any adjustments on the fly. And so we're trying to build a product where you can be watching football on Sundays and you can pull up Starstock and you can be engaging while the game's actually going on, buying players, selling players. And so, obviously really excited for sports to come back so we can really put it to action.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into this a little bit more, but I first want to remind the viewers that we have a very special offer. Sports Card Investor and Starstock have paired up together to give you an offer that you can't get anywhere else, and that is that if you create a new account right now on Starstock and you use code SCI when signing up, you put in, Scott, is it a referral code they put in? Does it say referral code?
Yep. And so, yeah, you'll find a place to put in the referral code when you sign up.
Put an SCI into that field, and you're going to get, the first time you make a deposit to buy cards, you're going to get a $10 bonus. Or the first time you send cards to them to sell, you're going to get a $20 bonus. If you do both, you're going to get $25. So if you both send some cards to Starstock to put into the digital vault to sell, and you put in a deposit and buy some cards, you're going to get $25 bonus added to your account. A great way to pick up some additional cards for your collection for free. Seems like it's a no-brainer to give it a try. So certainly use that code SCI, that referral code, because that's going to give you that opportunity to get $25 in bonus dollars, which you cannot get anywhere else right now. So make sure to do that. SCI for Sports Card Investor. So the phenomenon, Scott, that you were just talking about the idea of, maybe even flipping a player during a game, kind of bringing almost day trading, real time buying and selling of sports cards within a game. I actually saw that phenomenon play out firsthand last year while I was watching the AFC Championship game. And the Kansas City Chiefs fell way behind, if you remember, to the Titans, right? And Mahomes, they were really far behind. And yeah. I went on to, I even did an Instagram. Anyone who was following my Instagram back then saw me do this at halftime of it wasn't even halftime. It was the end of the first quarter because they came all the way back, I think, in the second quarter. At the end of the first,
I think they were winning at half, right? Or tied.
Yeah, I think by halftime they had come back. It was like the second quarter where they did all that incredible work. So it was early in the second quarter, and they had started the comeback process, but they still had a ways to go. And I said, I'm going to go on eBay and buy some Patrick Mahomes cards right now. I'm going to take a flyer on the fact that I think Mahomes is going to lead him to a comeback. And I think when he does, it's going to be one of the greatest postseason comeback stories in history. And I think Mahomes card prices are going to go nuts heading into the Super Bowl if they come back and win this game. So sure enough, I went onto eBay at that very moment, early in the second quarter, and I bought some of Patrick Mahomes' Prism Silver cards. And sure enough, he led him back on the epic comeback, and the cards went crazy, and they just went on this amazing upwards climb. And you saw it during the game. In fact, I saw it happening in real time because I was continuing to look at cards, and then all of a sudden, that one just sold. And I would go to another card, and I was about to hit buy it now or make an offer. It sold. And so I saw it. There were other people on eBay that very moment, just like I was, buying these cards up as the Chiefs were coming back in the second quarter. And so, but all of the people who did it that day had the same problem I did, which was we now had to wait to get the cards. We now had to make the payment. We had to wait to get the cards. And by the way, we also had to hope that the seller did not cancel the transaction on us. And I have had that happen. I've had that happen now at least 3 times in the last few months that I can remember, where I was watching a game or some type of event where I said, okay, this is going to be good for this guy's card prices. And I found a low price card currently sitting there on eBay as a buy it now, and I bought it and I paid for it. And then next morning, I got a notice saying your sale has been canceled because the seller, the card is damaged, or the seller can no longer find the card in inventory or whatever. And all it was the seller the next morning woke up and said, oh my gosh, Trae Young went for 50 last night. By the way, that's the time it happened. Trae Young went for 50 last night, and no wonder I sold his card in the second quarter to this guy, sports card investor, for now what is $100 less than what the card is selling for the very next morning. So they cancel the transaction and then relist the card again, right? And so they're not supposed to do that. And by the way, that's against eBay's terms of service. But it is a real thing that happens. And so, that's just one of the complications of trying to do that kind of real-time buying and selling on eBay. And that really seems like that's really the spirit of what you're trying to target with Starstock.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can list a card for an auction. You can spend a whole week. You can waste a whole entire week with a card in an auction. Whoever's the highest bidder, just if they decide not to pay you, they don't pay you. And you can waste a whole week or 10 days on that. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. And so is your eBay account sports card investor? I would guess a lot of people would maybe see that you buy it, decide, you know what, I'm going to cancel this. Maybe I should hold this guy. If the sports card investor is buying it, maybe I'm making the wrong decision here to sell.
So this is a true story. So my eBay account is sports card investor, and back when I started, no one knew who that was. I bought a ton of basketball cards on eBay last summer, and no one thought twice. Who's this sports card investor guy, right? No one thought twice. Now when I go on eBay and I make an offer, half the time when the person responds to the offer, they will add a note, and the note will say, hey, thanks for your offer. I really appreciate it. By the way, I love your show. Really enjoy watching it. Probably half the people on eBay respond with that. But then they also normally say, but I'm firm on my price, or something like that, because they're thinking like, if I'm trying to buy something, maybe something's about to happen with that card or something like that. And so, I need to change my eBay username. But anyway, that's a different story. That's story.
Funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. And you're right that this could help the sellers as well, because it's not just the buyers. I just gave this scenario about how you can get really screwed over as the buyer on eBay. But you could also, as the seller, that is unfortunately happening more and more, where people are bidding things up and then not paying for them. And especially that's super frustrating if you've done like a 7-day auction or something like that, as you just said, and now you waited that whole time, and the player's at a high in the market, and now you're not going to get paid, and you got to go relist the thing again. That's a frustrating system for sure. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so this is cool. Now, I will say, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are thinking this already, definitely different than eBay, definitely different than StockX, but sounds very similar to ComC, because this is check out my cards, comc.com. This type of digital, they store it. You can buy and sell through their site. This is a similar type of model to what ComC has been running for years. So how do you kind of compare and contrast what you're doing against ComC?
Yeah, I would say more the differentiator between ComC is more inside the product. If you come to our site, it's going to have way more. We want it to have kind of like a stock market feel. So the first thing that we did is, so we're pretty exclusive with the types of cards we take. So first off, right off the bat, every single card on Starstock's a rookie. We don't accept anything else that's not a rookie. And so we're super focused with, our checklist. And so for basketball and football, we accept Prism, Optic, Select, Donruss. For basketball, we accept NBA Hoops. Obviously, they don't have it for football. For baseball, it's Topps Series 1, 2, Update, Chrome, and Bowman Chrome. And then we accept basically everything for high-end cards. So we'll take your Origins, your National Treasures, your Impeccable. If you have a Contenders auto, we'll take that, obviously. But we're really focused on the rookie market, and we're really focused on, those 4 main cards. We're calling them stock cards. And our goal is to build a product that makes it super easy to come in, find the player that you're looking for, and just make it easy to invest in that player. And so there are some similarities with like the Vault model with COMC, but within our product, I think if you went to both websites, you pulled them both up on your browser, you'd see a lot of differences within that, within the actual product.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
We're focused on the rookie market for sure. And I think they're, they obviously have all different types of cards there, but a good amount of cards that you find on COMC are vintage cards.
Well, COMC is super wide. Like, actually, I personally like using COMC best for cards that are a little bit more unusual. Like if you're trying to complete a rainbow, or if you are looking for a patch card, but not a super high end one, but you're looking, let's say, honestly, COMC is great for your PC. So, if I PC Tim Tebow, COMC is going to have all kinds of unique Tim Tebow cards from all the different years he played, as well as his college cards. And they're going to have jersey cards and auto cards and memorabilia cards. They won't necessarily have his super high-end national treasures, but they will have a wide variety of kind of unique, lower-end type cards. And so it's great for that. But you're right, that is very different than what you're talking about, because what you're talking about is a much more narrow focus of cards, only rookie cards, only certain brands. And I assume the reason why you're placing those limitations is you want to have enough concentrated supply of certain cards that it makes the, buying and selling and the understanding, the price movements and seeing the price movements, it makes that all easier to see and understand.
Absolutely. Yep. That's totally it. Yeah. If you have 1,000 cards for a given player and it's across 100 different sets, it's not the same as having 1,000 cards, that are just basically prisms and optics, or prism optics and selects. And so we're really focused on building liquidity within those sets. It could change. We could decide to, add more sets in the future. But for right now, we're really trying to stay focused, keep it simple on the user, and really just dominate those sets that we do accept.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Interesting. Cool. So definitely something a little different, definitely a little bit of a different platform. And I want to remind all the users out there, enter referral code SCI for Sports Card Investor, SCI, when you're signing up for your account on Starstock, in order to get those bonus dollars the first time you make a deposit or the first time you send your cards in for sale. So tell us a little bit more, Scott, about the actual product itself. So this is a website. I assume it's web-based. Can you get to it on your mobile phone? How do you get to it? What's the experience like? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a web-based product. The reason we did that, it's a lot easier to iterate on it. And so for those out there that have, that signed up, 4 or 5 weeks ago when we launched, seeing where we were then to now, we're adding features almost every day, making improvements every single day. A lot easier to do that on a web. Having said that, everything we do, all the designs we make, we keep mobile in mind. So all of our designs are built to shrink down to the mobile size really well. And so, I probably get 10 to 15 DMs a day asking about an app. We're well aware that the market wants an app. We're excited to build one. And so for right now, though, we have a web platform. You can use it on your mobile phone. I even a few weeks ago saved it onto my home screen, and it kind of feels a lot like an app. So I saved it onto my home screen. You have the Starstock logo. You can just go to your home screen, click it. It will load it up right away. And so, a little bit more about the details of the product. So basically, from the seller's side of things, people send us their cards. What we do is we process them and then we store them in our vault. So basically, we take the cards, we go through them, we take a digital image front and back of every single card, and then we store them away and ship them up to our vault. And so in the next few weeks or so, we're releasing a new feature where people will be able to see front and back images of every single card on the site. And so you'll really get to feel that sense of ownership. You'll buy a card, you'll be able to see the corners, the surface area, etc. And so when we're done processing the card, the digital image goes into your collection, and you basically have a digital collection inside of Starstock. And so you can collect cards there, or you can list them to the market whenever you want. So it's as simple as going inside your collection, clicking on the card, putting in a sell order, picking your price, and it's on the market. And so for the buy side of things, you can browse the marketplace, you can search by player, and you can find, the player you're looking to invest in. We work on a bid ask model. So people that are listing their cards can choose their price, and you can go in and instantly accept that price, or you can put a bid. And when you place a bid, we shoot an email to the seller telling them that you placed the bid. And so they get notified, they can come in and accept that bid, or they can, stay strong on their offer.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So interesting. A little bit of the StockX bid ask model kind of being merged in with this as well. So trying to cherry pick some of the best concepts that are out there and then kind of bringing them together and putting your own unique spin on it, which is how many great successful companies get started and find that kind of unique place in the marketplace that, the reason why you're going to stand out, and you're, borrowing a little bit from all, but packaging it in such a unique way that it's giving the marketplace something really unique. Cool.
Yeah.
So
one thing I would add as well is that there are, and this is something that I've really noticed, using the product myself over the past few weeks, is that within my collection, there's a lot of really cool tools that make it great for people that are, collectors and not necessarily investors. It's a really easy way to fill gaps. If you are going for the rainbow, it's a really easy way to just see it all in front of your face. And, for me, I started building I had a Jason Tatum optic red yellow parallel, and I just love, we have badges on our sites that represent the parallel, and I loved the red yellow badge. And so now I'm in this, huge kind of project of trying to collect as many red yellow cards as I possibly can. And so we're going to be adding new tools into there that's going to make it like really fun to collect different cards, ways for you to kind of look at your collection, as an investment portfolio, and compare how you're performing in basketball versus football versus baseball. And so a lot of fun things coming inside the My Collection aspect that will just make it fun to go to Starstock every day and look at your cards.
Cool. Very neat. So when people send their cards into you, do you charge like a per card processing fee? What is involved there?
We don't. We might in the future, but right now we don't. Our only fee is the 5% seller fee. We wanted to keep things really simple. That's another reason why we're pretty exclusive with the sets we're choosing, is that we want to spend our time and our energy processing cards that we know that are going to sell, instead of just being a place where people offload, some of their lower end cards that they're, just looking to get rid of, or that they don't want to, store at their house or in their basement anymore. And so by, staying focused with the sets that we take, we anticipate that most of the cards that are sent in to us will actually flip and sell.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, that's certainly a nice perk that you guys do not charge any type of processing fee. I believe ComC charges 30 cents per card when you send them cards in. And so, I imagine at some point in time, you may have to start doing that. So that's another motivation for people to get on your site now and send some cards in, use referral code SCI, to get their inventory on there and avoid those processing fees. So 5%. So basically I could send you right now. I've got to make sure, first of all, I got to make sure the cards fit within the target cards you want on your site. So they got to be rookie cards. They got to be, of those particular sets. But I could send you a bunch of cards, box them up, ship them to you. You're going to put them on the site for free. And then the only fee that I'm going to pay as a seller is 5% whenever any of those cards are sold to anybody. And then the buyers don't pay any fee at all. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. So you're going to ship us the cards. You'll get an email when they show up in our PO box. You'll get a second email when they're inside your collection. When they're in your collection, you can go in and you can list the ones that you want onto the site, and then your work is done. You can, you'll probably just start getting emails that cards have sold. I think so. Of our first 10 sellers that sent cards in, we've already gotten a second shipment of cards from 8 of them, 8 of the 10. one individual sold, I think, 159 cards in the first 36 hours or something. And I was talking to him a couple weeks ago. He was just getting an email notification every 15, 20 minutes. And, just had a great experience. He sent in, I think at first, maybe just a few hundred cards, ended up putting together a shipment of a few thousand that he sent over last week. And so we're really trying to make that process really easy for sellers. We take care of most of the work, and then you just got to go in, and, depending on how many cards you have, take a few minutes or, maybe an hour and list all your cards up. And then, that's basically all you need to do on your end.
And does the seller have to pay a storage fee of any type if the cards are sitting in your vault for a little while?
Nope, not yet. Again, we're going to see how things go. We could potentially put in a storage fee for cards that aren't flipping. What we're thinking of is maybe if a card doesn't flip within that year or within 18 months, then we can start charging a storage fee on there, just to avoid people basically sending us cards to use our insurance and the security and just keep them safe in the vault without, any intentions to sell. But for right now, really our goal is to get as many cards into the vault as possible. We want to have, tons of cards on the site when sports are back, so people can, go in and find the player that they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Makes a lot of sense. So now if I'm a buyer, obviously your ideal buyer buys cards and then leaves them within the system so that they can sell them again in the future. But what if I'm a buyer and I buy a card, I just really want that card. And so I want, or all the cards I bought, I just want them. I want those cards. And I want them to ship to me. How does that process work?
Yeah, look, we'll ship any card home. Like the ideal use case, and I think once people start using the product, they're going to realize the benefits of keeping the card in the vault. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody. But I'm a collector as well. I have tons of cards that I'm putting into Starstock. I have bunch that will never go into Starstock. I understand. Like there are some cards that you just want to wake up in the morning, you want to, look at it, you want to maybe hang it up in your office. And so if you're looking for that card that you want in your PC and you want it shipped home, or if you're going to gift it to somebody, we'll ship any card home. And so, it's not the ideal use case for Starstock, but, we understand that there's some cards that you just need to have in your hands.
Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. What's your goal? Like where do you see this going? Where do you want to see this go?
Yeah, we just, when the three of us first got together, it was just like, how can we make like a stock market where people can really feel like they're buying into a player? And so that's really the goal for us. Like I said earlier, sports cards are the perfect way to do this. And so we just really want to enable people to be able to buy and sell their favorite athletes, and engage while they're watching games and really feel some sense of ownership. So that's really the goal. That's the vision, is to build out this stock market of athletes. And so that's kind of where our head's at.
Yeah. And so I assume, I'm sure as an entrepreneur and a startup owner, there's a lot of different KPIs, key performance indicators you're probably tracking that are kind of the metrics that are telling you how your business is growing and how successful you are. And I imagine just simply the throughput, how many transactions are taking place, and also maybe the volume, I would say the quantity of cards that are available for sale within any one of the types of cards you're trying to sell, so that you have enough there to ensure that type of rapid throughput, a lot of choices. I imagine those are amongst the KPIs that you're really hoping are going to probably grow and grow and grow in the upcoming months.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We really want to build liquidity, get as many cards into the vault as possible. We've already doubled the amount of cards on the site since launch. Actually, more than doubled now. And so people are sending in cards. We have, I think, over 3,000 individual card varieties on the site. Over 11,000 cards right now. We have thousands of cards that are in the mail on the way. And we have a small backlog. But we've really been focusing a lot of our efforts on like our back end processing. We want to be fast. We want to be quicker than some of the other places out there. You go on Twitter, everyone's talking about the delays here and the delays there and the delays at the grading companies. And so we're really focused on, not just having a fast marketplace, but we want our whole process to be fast. So when you send us cards, we really try to get them up onto the site, within a week or two. That's building liquidity, getting the cards up fast is something that we're really focused on right now.
And you are accepting, from what I understand, graded cards as well as raw cards. And for raw cards, you kind of almost do a little bit of your own lightweight grading so that the buyers know what the quality of the raw card that they would be purchasing is. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing that was, that's really tough with eBay is you really have no clue what you're getting. You can look at the picture all you want. You can zoom in on the corners, but I'm sure all of us have stories where we thought we were getting something and we ended up getting something completely different. And so we're by no means grading these cards, but what we are doing is we're taking these raw cards and, since we're processing them, we're taking pictures of them, we're looking at them anyways, we put them into 3 different buckets. And so the first is Starstock A. And so that's our version of a good looking raw card. It's either mint condition or near mint condition. We don't necessarily say what we think it will grade, but we think a good amount of the Starstock A's would grade 10s or 9s. Some of them will grade 8s. And then the Starstock B is like a step below that. Those are okay cards, but not really in great condition, while Starstock C cards are poorly conditioned cards. And so we're not grading them by any means. We're just putting them in those 3 different, we're kind of classifying them A, B, and C, just to make it a little bit easier for the buyer and just to kind of build some trust there.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah. Any type of standardization you can try to build around raw cards at least allows the prices to become a little bit more standardized. I mean, that is one thing within Market Movers. We support both graded cards and raw cards, and the raw cards, the price line is always really jagged on raw cards, whereas on graded cards, the price lines tend to be smoother. And the difference is that with raw cards, it's so conditional dependent that you could see a Zion base raw card. You could see one sell for $50, and then you could see one sell later that night or the next day for $150. Same card. It's just that the condition of it was so much different, between the two. And so that's not, I think that's kind of a neat way to classify it. And I recognize you're not grading, but you're at least putting them in buckets. So probably the Zion $150 card is going to be an A, whereas the Zion $50 card might be the C, in your grading scale.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Anything else on Starstock, Scott, you think worth pointing out to the audience here?
We want as many people to try it as possible. We're, the 3 of us that founded the company, we're all collectors and investors ourselves. And so, we want everyone to try it. We want as much feedback as possible. You can shoot us a DM. You can email me, scott@starstock.com. I'm just trying to connect with as many people, get feedback. We're really trying to build a product that everybody loves. And so, that's about it. That's what I'd say.
Awesome. And once again, just to remind everybody, use that code SCI for Sports Card Investor. Use SCI as the referral code when you're creating your account to get that bonus money the first time you send cards in or the first time you put a deposit into your account. Awesome. Hey, Scott, before we wrap, tell me what you mentioned you were a big Carmelo collector as a kid. Is he still your main PC card? What's your favorite PC card that you own right now?
Yeah, big collector of Carmelo. My 4 guys are Melo, Kobe, LeBron, and Tiger. I know it's probably some of the most popular guys out there.
Yeah, that's not a cheap 4 to be going after. me going after Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, guy. Those are a little more. I'm buying Joakim Noah and Al Horford, and they're still well-known guys. but there's certainly a little down the price ladder from the guys you just mentioned there.
Yeah, I dabble with almost any Syracuse player, so I'll do that as well. I'm actually starting to shift my focus a little bit to football. I think the football market's pretty interesting, so I'm starting to shift my focus there a little bit actually, and so that's kind of where my head's at right now. In terms of basketball, those are really my guys.
Yeah, well, the football market's actually been really hot the last few months, and it's obviously been fueled by the NFL draft and the fact that there's been off-season football news where we haven't necessarily had as much in the other sports. But yeah, people are excited. People are going to be excited about this upcoming football season. So that's not a bad place to be. The great thing about the sports card market, obviously, as a whole right now, as you well know, and you're banking on, is the fact that really at this point, every sport is hot. And there's interest in every single area of the hobby right now. Even golf. You mentioned Tiger Woods. Even golf cards. Yep. Golf cards are a thing.
I was lucky. I was a little early on those. Those prices have gone insane.
We've been tracking Tiger Woods in my Market Movers tool. I told my members to buy Tiger Woods cards probably 2 or 3 months ago. He was one of my card picks, and his cards have gone up and up and up since that time. We're tracking in Market Movers. We're tracking tennis, just a couple, but we're tracking. Federer's cards actually have been going up, and I think we are in the process, if we haven't already, of adding Mike Tyson's cards. I didn't even know there were boxing cards, but there are. So it's interesting, and honestly, some of the heat is expanding into non-sports cards as well, which is not something that we track right now in Market Movers, but more and more people are asking about it because there's just a lot of heat across every element of the sports card hobby and now even the non-sports card trading world as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like if you're the greatest at any sport, there's going to be demand there. And so for Federer, for Tiger, they're no-brainers. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Scott, it was great catching up with you today. Thanks for coming on to Sports Card Investor.
Thanks for having me on. Had a blast.
For sure. And best of luck with Starstock. I'm sure a lot of the folks out there watching are going to check it out now, and certainly best of luck with the growth of your business. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Scott Greenberg. And if you haven't already gone to starstock.com to sign up, go there now and enter code SCI at the referral code to get that bonus of up to $25 when you sign up for Starstock and either deposit money in your account or send them some cards. Really sweet referral offer. Thank you to Scott for offering that exclusively for all of our Sports Card Investor listeners. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you back here again in the next few days. Take care.